Not anybody here except Patty. Okay. Okay, and then. Y'all can hear us? You know everybody.
I'm just introducing her to you. I'm introducing her to you. I'm saying good stuff.
It's okay.
I'm lying and saying.
I'm sorry, I didn't know anybody but Patty. Your fault, Patty. Yeah. It always is.
Now you know.
Yeah.
Now you know.
All right, ladies, gentlemen, let's go ahead and call to order the Historic Preservation Board meeting for September 4th, 2025. The invocation will be led by Ms. Pierce, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Mr. Jefferson.
Please stand. Dear Heavenly Father, please guide us with wisdom and unity as we come together to make decisions that benefit our community and bring us together as one. I ask all these things in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of
the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Madam City Clerk, if we could have the roll call, please. As Ms. Hayes gets ready, Mr. Jefferson, would you like to join us up front? I do not see Mr. Hollister in presence.
I apologize, Madam Chair. We were brought in some pictures that you are now getting handed to, that you are now getting some, so I want to make sure that I was able to pull it up on the screen, so I had to ask for somebody to scan them in so I can see if I can't pull them up on screen when it's.
Thank you. Understood.
Okay. So
The
roll
roll call,
call.
Ms. Hayes. Thank you.
Mary Jane Rosa. Christopher Hollister. Timothy Jefferson,
Present.
Patty Vogt,
Present.
Megan Beville. Present. Brianna Pierce,
Present.
Elizabeth Brunsberg.
Present. Thank you. We do indeed have a quorum. Will Ms. Rosa be joining us? Will Ms. Rosa be joining us as an alternate member? It's good to see you again, Ms. Rosa. Let's move on to our meeting purpose disclosure. The purpose of the Historic Preservation Board is to steward the architecture of properties in our city's historic districts by applying the guidelines of the Secretary of the Interior's standards for historic preservation. Moving on, the appeals procedure and ex parte communication. We'll start with the appeals procedure. Any person wishing to appeal any decision made by the Historic Preservation Board with respect to any matter considered at such meeting will need a record of the proceedings, and for such purpose may need to ensure that a verbatim record of the proceedings is made at the applicant's expense, which record includes the testimony and evidence upon which the appeal is to be based. Florida Statute 286.105. Ex parte communication, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, I do have a bit. I don't believe any of this really falls squarely under the ex parte communications rule. But just to make it known, the applicant, Ms. Tabor, and I are friends, and she is also a member of the Women's Club of Palaca. This is indeed an after the fact COA, which I believe everyone knows I feel super strongly about, but she asked me as a friend if I could guide her in the proper channels moving ahead to get her where she needed to be on this project. I introduced her to city staff. There were meetings that came as a result. And I also notarized her certificate of appropriateness paperwork. However, I do not charge for my notary services. So therefore, I did not gain in any way financially, nor do I intend to paint the house, work for the paint company, and I did not invent roller naps. So I feel like I'm pretty much in the clear here, but I did just want to make that known. Thank you very much. All right, let's move on to the approval of minutes of the August 7th, 2025 meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review those minutes? If so, I'm looking for a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Pierce. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Vogt. All in favor, say aye. And opposed. Our August 7th meeting minutes are approved. Moving on to item 3 on our agenda, public comments. Now, these are public comments not related to agenda items. Let's go ahead and open up the floor to public comments. I'm sorry, ma'am.
Mine's on agenda if I didn't mark it.
Yes, ma'am. I suspected. Okay, so when that time comes, I will open up a separate public comment section, and that would be when you would speak.
Did point at me.
Yes, ma'am. I'd be happy to. Seeing no general public comments, let's go ahead and close those down. So let's move on to new business. Item 4 on our agenda. This is HPB 2509, 510 Emmett Street, parcel number 42-10-27-6850-0440-0071. The applicant and owner is Ms. Judy Tabor. I believe we'll hear from city staff first. Take us away, madam.
Good afternoon, everybody. The request is to obtain an after-the-fact certificate of appropriateness for the painting of the exterior of the structure on this property, following a notice of violation issued by the city. The property is located at 510 Emmett Street in the South Historic District. The applicant is Ms. Judy Tabor. The painting consists of the body, trim, accents, and door. The specific color samples used on the structure are included in the staff report. Also, photographs illustrate where the colors were used in painting the structure. The house is a Victorian Gothic residence built between 1884 and 1886. The Florida Master Site File is included in the agenda. The applicant is here if you have further questions.
Have additional questions for city staff? You have one if no one else knows it this time. When an applicant in our historic districts proposes to paint their house, where can they go to find an appropriate color palette for said paint?
We do not have a historic color palette here in the city of Palaca.
So would they then be directed to use a quote historic color? In other words,
Without a palette, I don't know how to answer that question.
The Department of Interior does have a color palette that we have relied on in the past and it's fairly extensive.
But as far as the city of Palaca is concerned, there is nowhere that we can send an applicant wanting to do what I would consider maintenance on their home as a place to find out what is an appropriate color to paint.
No, that's not true. We do follow the Department of Interior historical guidelines and there is a color palette associated with the DOI historical guidelines.
And was this particular applicant referred to that palette?
And I don't know.
No. I was not aware of it.
I believe I'm being a little bit preliminary, but I'm not being preliminary in that I'd like to share something. Back in 2006, 2007, I moved to the North Historic District. Now, I'm a St. Augustine girl, and I know that if you have a red door and you want to paint it red again, you have to ask for permission. So I came down to the city of Palaca all those years ago, and I said, I'd like to paint my house. Can you give me some guidelines? And they said, well, we don't really have any. 18 years ago, they didn't have any. And I was told at that time that what I needed to do was go to one of the paint suppliers and find a quote
HC color, historic colors. And I said, but wait a minute. Historic colors, a lot of times don't differentiate interior and exterior, therefore, number one, what might be appropriate in Key West or Charleston might not necessarily be appropriate here in Blacka. And number two, a lot of times they don't really differentiate between interior and exterior. So I might be painting my exterior of my colonial home and interior already purple Victorian four-year color, and that would be okay. And what I was told at that point was, yeah, we really don't have anything to tell you, just try to use the best, your best discretion. I feel like without having something definitive to direct the applicant to, we're basically playing a giant game of go fish. Is this color good? Yeah, I don't like that color. Well, wait, who are you to not like that color? Well, I don't like it. Or I feel like what we need to do as a city truly is to take a step back and come up with what is or is not appropriate based on our city and what we feel the characteristics of our city paint palette should be, as opposed to telling an applicant to just go fish.
I would have to,
Well, let me just say, we didn't tell the applicant to go fish to start with. This was an after the fact application for painting a house without the permit. So code enforcement issued a notice violation. She came to the city, to the planning department, and we gave her an application after the fact. That was it. We never told her you need to paint this color or not. It was just giving an application to her. So
Yeah,
Okay,
There it is.
I would like to say something. I've been in the historic districts for going on 30 years now. And when I came and was here, Sherwin-Williams, for lack of anybody else in town, not because it's Sherwin-Williams, they have a exterior historic color chart. It's not all the colors, but it's a lot of the colors. And it also depends on, like, this was part of that workshop that I mentioned. I've done some work and I'm talk to about it later. But this helps the staff to a certain degree. That particular color is a historic color with Sherwin-Williams under the historic colors. Okay, it's called Pink Flamingo, which is what you said. Because I went to check on that and to see if the staff has any of this but this was all going to be like for us to talk about the workshop later and maybe, getting more tight and all of that. So.
yes, the color chips are in the staff
Yes, because
report in your
I was
agenda.
referred to these things years ago and the staff here used these things and the historic board used these things years ago. So I just picked up a few and we'll talk about it later, but.
Yes, I do have that Sherwin-Williams.
Yes, because we had
the
nothing
report.
else. And it also, each home is different. So there's even historic colors for 1950s, 40s, 30s, Victorians, 1800s, that are the proper colors for that period of time, like they do in Charleston. I've done a whole thing up on Charleston too. And the way that they do things that might could help. I don't want to, I know we can't reach that bar, but we could work towards,
Well, we could certainly try for something other than
yes,
nearly absolute ambiguity, I
yes.
think.
So. There's
Anything else to take into note? Anything? So, again, illustrating the point, I mean, we might not like this.
Yeah.
But there's nothing about it that doesn't meet the bar at the moment, apart from the fact that it was an after the fact COA,
Yes.
which once again, I'm the first one to be irritated about. Do we have any
I
other
agree.
questions for?
Madam Chair, I
Sorry,
just want to
Mr.
make
Odiva.
sure for the record to state that the on notice of violation was not because of the color. That is not the notice of violation. It's for not getting the proper permit for painting the house in the historic district.
Yes.
So that has to be very clear.
Yes.
We never pass judgment on the color.
And I'm sorry, I don't mean to shake my head, but Ms. Tabor, we will get to you, I promise. I promise.
So that's why we brought it to the board.
Yes.
So what we are doing at this point is literally nothing about the color because we really can't do anything about the color because at this point, even though we might not like it, it's permissible. What we're actually here in charge of is, so you painted your house and we wish you would come to us first and you have indeed paid the extra money for your over-the-counter after the fact COA. So now we're going to move along and hopefully we're going to come to a conclusion on what might be appropriate in the near future.
I had no plans on that. I don't know anything of that. This is just to issue her certificate of appropriateness. That's
Okay.
it.
So understanding color is off the dry erase board on what color the house was painted has been erased. It's just.
It's
a
really
question
up,
of-
it's really up to the board, to make a decision whether to grant the after the fact certificate or not.
Well, and
I
just
mean,
to
it's your
play devil's
discretion,
advocate,
what-
I don't think that we've ever not approved, well, no, I take that back. There was a property over on Oak Street that we did not approve. All right, I'm going to be quiet for now and allow the other board members to speak. Sorry, I apologize. 18 years later, I still can't believe we don't have something in place for this. Ms. Vogt or Ms. Beville or Mr. Jefferson or Ms. Ro, okay, I think Ms. Pierce got to go first.
Thank you.
So,
My,
Oh, sorry.
oh, I'm sorry.
so, I guess to try to understand what we're coming here for, just like Miss Elizabeth said, we're only here just to vote on if they can have a permit to paint or not.
That's correct.
So why are we not doing the colors? Because aren't we supposed to also vote on colors? I mean, isn't
Well, the
that
color is
something-
right in front of you. I mean, it's the judgment of the board.
No, that typically the paint colors are an over-the-counter permit. Or an, I'm sorry, an over-the-counter COA, correct?
It depends. Sometimes, yes.
But we are
Yeah.
not here about that today, correct?
You're here about, again, there is an after the fact application for a certificate of appropriateness for a paint of a house in historic district. It's your decision whether to grant that request or not.
Just playing devil's advocate to make sure that my board members understand, if we were to not approve an after the fact COA, what would happen?
Well, what happened is that we're not being compliant. We'll proceed with the process. It will probably give another time, to comply with getting the certificate, and if not, we take it to the magistrate. And the magistrate will make a decision.
I truly,
Answer your question that
yeah.
you asked.
And I truly think,
Steps.
again, I'm not to sound like a broken record here, but I truly think giving the information we need to the applicant, whether it's in the first place or anyway, I feel like we need to work on this as a historical board. Ms. Beville, did you have something to add or question?
Although I understand that she didn't get the permit ahead of time. I have one question. Who at the city planning and building, if she had to approve the colors, who would that be? If there's not an actual color palette?
It would be the certificate of appropriateness application. It would have the colors, and then the director would assign the file to a planner. And then the planner and director decide if it's a like for like, and then it's the $50 COA for painting your house, or what?
So it's subjective to city staff.
Yes.
Ms. Rosa?
Thank you. My experience with historical colors comes from buildings in the French Quarter, which compared to most places in the United States is incredibly strict. I think we do a great disservice to the people of the community when we don't actually have colors that we can offer them before they get into the quagmire of what can I have and what can I not have. I mean, we've made some steps in having a pamphlet for the people who buy homes here so that they know what it is. Unfortunately, I find that real estate agents aren't handing them out. I have 2 homes adjacent to mine in the North District. These people know nothing about what they can and cannot do or what they have to do. So I think we need to get our heads around Not only is it Sherwin-Williams, but it's also Benjamin Moore has the complete line of historic colors. I think we, as a group, need to get together and formulate what the colors should be. And as said, if your house was built in the 1930s, this is your palette. If your house is built in the 1880s, this is your palette. It's not that hard, but I think we're not being fair if we're not saying to them, these are your choices. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rosa. Mr. Jefferson, did you have something to add at this time?
I'm not quite sure what these are.
Well, we will get to that.
Okay.
Do we have any more questions for city staff? All right, let's go ahead and hear from the applicant, Ms. Tabor, if you would, please.
And I totally forgot what my point was earlier, so there's
Look,
that.
you can just introduce yourself and
Hi, I'm Judy Tabor. I go by Grace, though. And whenever I selected this color, one, I think it's beautiful, but you know, everyone has an opinion and that's fine. I looked up historical homes and I saw colors like what I've printed out. And those are horrible pictures. I literally took my phone because I couldn't get my thing to print. I suck at being savvy, techno savvy at least. So, and then I went and I tried to pick a paint color that was as close to that as I could find. And the pink flamingo was the one. And actually on the house, it's a lot less severe than on that paint swipe or that little swatch that you have. And the house isn't trimmed out. I feel that once it's trimmed out, it'll mellow it down even more. And also the Florida sun will fade it in no time. There's that. And as far as the certificate of appropriateness, I apologize that I did not do that. I hired a professional to do it or to do my house. And I thought that he was taking care of all of that, which he was not. And he's no longer taking care of the house either. So and again, I apologize for not doing it beforehand, but also I just heard you say it was $50 to purchase it beforehand. I believe I paid $500. Was that it? Or am I crazy? I could be totally crazy. There's that as well. And that's all I've got to say. I mean, I feel that, you know, these style homes are called painted ladies. And there are other homes in the neighborhood that have colors that maybe I don't love, but there they are. And it's Rainbow Row, Charleston, for instance. And I know we're not in Charleston, but I was also told to go look at houses in St. Augustine. Well, I don't live in St. Augustine. Why am I picking from a St. Augustine color palette? I guess that's it. That's all I have to say. And I didn't mean to be offensive or to go against any of the guidelines. I know ignorance is not an excuse, but I'm willing to make as, you know, as far as the certificate of appropriateness, that what I need to do to obtain that. But my funds have ran out to paint the house. So there you go. That's it. Does anyone have any questions?
just to reiterate, yes, you're after the fact COA was $506. We have the
Okay.
paperwork in our
So
packet.
That's 10 times what you would charge before. And I've happily paid that. I realize that I've made an error. And again, I apologize for that. That's all I can say.
Thank you, Ms. Tabor. Ladies, gentlemen, do we have questions for Ms. Tabor at this point?
Hi, I don't have any questions for you. I appreciate your apology for that, not doing that. I think that's a situation that we're dealing with, and we're hopefully going to be able to correct that, and people need to take more concern about the fact that they live in a historic district and what it means to live in a historic district and what it means to have a historic home. Because the way our historic districts look, for me, aesthetically, is if you took the signs away, to me, you would not know that it's a historic district. And that goes with the pride of ownership, the care of the homes, just everything in general. I want them to be better for all of us, for everybody, for people visiting, for the children that live in Palaca, so that they see beautiful things and they get exposed to those things, which changes their lives. When I look out my window, I want to see something beautiful. I mean,
I
it
agree.
just makes me feel good. And when I see pride of ownership with people and caring about our historic districts and our neighborhoods and all that, that means something and says something about Palaca. And when you move in one of these places, there should be guidelines and so on and so forth. And if that's not the kind of lifestyle that you want, then you would like go to other neighborhoods that don't have those guidelines. So, I don't know how I end this, but I just wanted to share that with you.
I'm going to
Okay.
add one thing to what you just said. The reason why I started with the painting, yes, I realized the original code, which was years and years ago, an original violation or whatever. I'm so not good at this, y'all. I'm faking it.
Mhm.
But in any case, was for rotted wood and whatnot. And there's a vacant lot next to me, which is sold, and they're supposed to build within 3 years, and that's coming up close. So I wanted to paint the house and get everything fixed before they started building on that, because I believe in property values, and I want them to sell this house whenever they build it for as much as they can. I want to, I was ashamed of the way the house was looking, and my goal is to make it look better, certainly not make it look worse, and certainly not do anything that, again, anyone would find offensive or isn't by the guidelines. And I truly apologize. I mean, I didn't mean to, I feel like I started a bunch of stuff. I didn't want y'all to come here on an afternoon, and over me.
Well, Ms. Tabor, this is our regularly
Well,
scheduled
I'm
meeting.
so sorry.
No,
But,
but this is what we do on the first Thursday at 4 o'clock. So please do not feel bad, and please do not apologize.
Exactly.
Compared to
again-
some applicants with after the fact COAs, you've just thrown yourself on the ground and begged for mercy. And,
Well, my knee, I already.
And maybe now as a neighbor too, or new people that come in or whatever, you can share all the information that you're learning through this process for them so that they don't pay $506 as opposed to 50.
Well, I assess the penalty, and I
No.
understand that.
No,
And I agree totally with what you say. I like seeing pretty things too.
Yes.
And it makes me feel at home, and whenever you come into your driveway, and if you're you have beautiful surroundings, you kind of
Makes you
I'm
feel better.
home and everything's okay.
Yeah.
And that was my goal whenever I started working with this. But again, my painter is no longer, and now I've invested all my money in him, and I've run out of funds. So that's fun, but I'll get it done. I mean, it may be a few more months, but I will get it finished. And there are windows that need to be replaced. There's all kinds of stuff that needs help with this home. So
But it's a start and finishing is important.
it is. And these
the colors.
windows, yeah, and the windows, they had the stained glass, and that's, I just
well,
can't live
and
it down.
apologies, I don't mean to cut you off, Ms. Tabor.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
done
think we're here
babbling.
about the
I'll sit
windows.
down, shut
Oh,
up.
well, no, you're fine. Ms. Pierce, did you have a question or an
I had a
observation?
question, but I think she answered it at the end. You've said that you've run out of the funds to paint the house, but you plan to finish.
I will.
project.
I absolutely will. It's just I can't do it in the next 30 days, or probably honestly in the next 4 months. It'll be the first of the year before I start tackling it again, because I've ran out of money. It is what it is.
Mhm.
This guy, this was $18,000, and he's still not finished with it. And I'm not trying to badmouth anyone, but I'm not lying either.
Yeah.
I'm not, so.
That's what I was looking at the pictures and you said it hadn't been trimmed out yet. And
It-
in fact, I mean, the pictures showed that there is overspray on the trim.
Yeah, there,
So,
yeah, that's where we left it, because he decided he was gonna charge me. I had my original estimate from him, and also it was payable upon completion, but he decided that he was charging me per window and per trim. And I couldn't at this point. I mean, I kept handing him money, and then now it was more money, and I was tapped out. I'm like, I'm done, and I can't. So, but it will be finished. If I have to get a friend who's not afraid of heights to go up there and paint the trim, we'll get it done. But it just, again, it won't. And he also took all the paint with him. So it won't, yeah. But anyway,
Okay.
it doesn't matter. Yes, I'm a little bitter, but anyway, it will be done, because I don't like things looking like that. I was ashamed of the house whenever it was green. It had all this rotted wood on it, and the paint was flaking. It looked like crap, and I wanted to, fix it and make it pretty, and had this whole thing, wanted to do it, but anyway, it'll come to pass.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tabor. Let's go ahead and open up to public comments.
She said,
Ms. Reese, if you would, come on up and just let us know your city of residence and your full name.
This is my neighbor.
I am not, I'm her worst enemy. My name is Marton Reese. I live at 516 Nimitz Street, her neighbor. And I get to look out every morning, the sun hitting that over there and that, it's not that I like the color, it's just that it is beautiful. And it looks great now that she's got it painted. I watched that guy over there doing his painting and I just, oh my God, this is gonna be so pretty. I saw the first going, I'm going, oh, I hope, don't you be teasing me, Judy. That better be the color. And it is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. When it was green, it was hideous. Mr. Cooper owned it back in the 50s. It was red. Of course, that's my favorite color, but I don't think y'all like red. And Patty, on this historical you're talking about, you still have your bricks. We don't. All we've got is a blacktop.
Yes, I
That's
know.
all I got to say about it. I love the house.
Well, thank you, Ms. Reese.
And
Thank you for coming down
letting
today.
her do this.
Yes.
Well, we have not made that decision yet, but Ms. Kitchens, if you would.
Allegra Kitchens, Palatka, Florida, and I have some history on the house, as you might expect. But I'd like to make two comments. First of all, the real estate salespeople should tell people they're living in the historic district. That's called disclosure. If they don't disclose it, you have legal recourse. The second thing is, if there's no color palette, how can the staff have a color palette and suggest what color you use? Okay, I'm very familiar with this house. It belonged to my great uncle Loper Bailey. George Loper Bailey. He had the gas utilities in Palatka. He had the gas, the lights, and the telephones in the 1800s. I'd understood from the family that he built the house for his wife, Rosa. Regardless, they lived in it. She loved the house to utter distraction, so much so that she kicked him out and lived in it by herself. She had a reason, but I won't go into that. Her daughter Serena was a librarian and a teacher, and Serena, pardon me, lived in the house with her mother until her mother died, and then Serena went down to South Florida. In the meantime, when Serena was a little girl, some of y'all know the Walton family, Bill Townsend, the Walton family, Miss Susie Walton. She and Serena Bailey were children at the time, and Miss Susie told me that Serena, on the landing of the stairs, the landing, it's a huge landing. I actually saw the house a few years ago. There was a playhouse there, a full-size dollhouse that Miss Susie and Serena would go inside and play, and it had furniture. And I've always been fascinated by that.
Landing
Yes, ma'am.
at her house?
Yeah,
yeah.
the landing is
Ladies,
about as
let's-
big as this area right here, because when I heard the story, I thought, how could it be a big playhouse that the children go? But then I saw the landing a few years ago when June Thompson owned it. I remember the house as being white. When I saw it barn red, I was aghast, but it was okay. I figured that Rosa's probably, she haunts the house actually, but I figured she was turning over in her grave. And then when I saw it green, that I didn't have no problem with that. I drove past the other day and I saw this going, well, that's pretty, because the green looked bad. So I have no problem with the color. And it's but I'm very familiar with the house through the family connection. So I just wanted to give you that information, and it's a wonderful old house. And I'm glad that Ms. Tabor's got it and fixing it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kitchens. If you would, please take your comment card. Thank you to Ms. Hayes. All right, anyone else for public comment? If not, let's go ahead and close that down. Ladies, gentlemen, I mean, I am certainly not one to move a motion forward, but it does seem to me that we have bigger fish to fry than punishing a homeowner for simply trying to maintain her home via paint to the best of her abilities, following the rules that she was given.
I'd like to make a
Mr.
motion
Jefferson.
that we approve this application as is.
All right, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Beville. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed. All right, motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much, Ms. Tabor. I don't believe I can say on behalf of the city of Palatka, but I believe I can say on behalf of the historical board, I feel like we're in a position where we would like to really do better and we will get the ball rolling on that. So have a wonderful day. All right, as far as other business is concerned, this might be the time for someone to say that we'd like to get together ASAP to talk about paint colors.
Yes, I would.
All right,
Well, yes, I would like, if I have to make a motion or whatever it is, that we move forward in getting an established paint palette together for each, I guess, error, and have it properly labeled for exterior
Mhm.
trim, decorative pieces, because I know a lot of, we do have a lot of Victorian homes here in Palaca. It needs to be exact to where the paint needs to go. Because I have to speak, same with Miss Elizabeth and Miss Patty. I have owned 2 historical homes in Palaca, one on Kirby. And when I went to get paint samples for that, same thing as them. Come down here, you'll have to go to the local paint store, get a paint palette. When you look at it, it's for America. It's not for Southern homes. And again, like Miss Elizabeth said, we don't live in Key West. We don't have those colorful colors here. We are a Southern town. We are not Charleston. We are not Key West.
Mm.
If we look back on some of the old house,
and apologies, Ms.
Sorry.
Pierce, but we don't actually take questions, Ms. Reese.
Sorry.
That's okay. You didn't know, first time attending. Next time. Yes, ma'am, and that is fantastic, but not the appropriate time. Sorry.
but I believe that we need to do research and find what these colors, what these homes were originally and how Palaca looked during the time that those homes were built. And I think we need to go forward with an exact palette to be able to give the people when they come in.
Yeah, go ahead and pull it up. So this
Ms. West.
is within the purview of this particular board. It's actually part of your duties as set forth in the Code of Ordinances. And I had the clerk just pull up St. Augustine, since that was referenced a couple of times, and you can see if you scroll to the top, Karen. It basically, this is an introduction on how to proceed, and you can scroll down. And if you continue to scroll down, you can see it's pre-1821. It goes forward, just as you were stating, with the color scheme. We are probably close, but not exact to St. Augustine, but this might be a good place to start for this board to potentially designate a committee to further explore this and then make recommendations to the planning director. Ultimately, it would have to be approved by the commission, but this is where you would start if you wanted to embark on this process, or
Yes.
at least a suggestion.
Thank you. May we all have copies of that emailed to us? Thank you. Thank you, Ms. West. Ms. Vogt?
Yes, I had asked that we could discuss a proposed workshop for the board and to see if they were interested. What I've been experiencing is that a lot of our decisions that we're able to make are based on city ordinances and that doesn't always apply to historic districts. Sometimes there needs to be more guidance on what is allowed and what isn't allowed and so on and so forth. And I think that would be a good thing so that we can perfect these historic districts that we have and make them better. And so I've pulled up some stuff from Charleston. I know that's a real high bar, but it's basically being able to do these color charts, being able to identify like the fact that we have metal buildings there now, so on and so forth, that we have our own guidelines that we do other than the attorney, the Secretary of Interiors, that we add to it because other cities do that. They don't just go by the Secretary of the Interior. They also go by what things that they have developed and decided fits the city and so on and so forth. And I would like to have things tighter where our decisions are more, it's better for the people. It's easier for the people so that they don't not know and don't have these COAs. And then we have, crazy things going going on all over the place. So I would like very much to be a part of the workshop and have it, and let's take all this really to heart and see how good we can do.
I completely concur with you. More information is better than less information. On the subject of Charleston, phew, if only,
I
right?
meant to say one other thing. I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
I would also like to incorporate after a while in that workshop or even in the beginning that we bring in Miss Odom for the CRA money, because years ago, and the code enforcement, somebody from code enforcement, where we all sit together and we work together to make these areas better, because code enforcement knows what they do. Miss Odom knows with the CRA grants that they had years ago, they used to take care of the code enforcement items first. The money would go to them first, and then it would go to the lowest income person, and then it would go from that point on. So maybe if we work more with, a structure and ideas and incorporate these people too, at a later date or whatever the board feels is good, I think we might could come out really good.
Ms. Vogt, I think that is an excellent idea. I think as far as the subject of a, historic paint palette throughout the ages, I feel as though we have been charged with that as the Historic
Yeah.
Preservation Board. I would hate to get too many cooks in the kitchen because we all know what happens when you do that. But I think moving forward, it is certainly within our guidelines as the City of Palaca's Historical Board to take much more interest. And yet we don't, and I think we should.
Yes.
So let's start with the idea of a paint palette workshop. Again, more information is wonderful. The majority of the buildings that we have in our historical districts typically are going to be wood as opposed to, metal, brick. Well, okay, brick. But, I feel like this is a good starting point. I'm not sure, Ms. West, if Ms. Pierce needed to make that motion to create a workshop for us to get together and decide.
Go
Okay,
ahead and set a date if you want this to, obviously this will have to be publicly noticed, so it complies with sunshine. So if you can identify a date now while you're all together, that's mutually convenient, she can go ahead and add.
Can I also ask a question? This,
well, you know what,
Okay.
let's get a second to Ms. Pierce.
okay, go ahead.
Ms. Pierce made a motion that we get together as a board and we talk about paint colors. Would you like to second that?
I'd love to second it.
Thank you. And now let's.
I would also, I don't know if we do it at a later date, but I would like to move from that one on to more and more things with the ordinances and the stuff that we need to support what we would like to see the historic districts turn into. So
And once again, I feel like that is within our purview as the historical board. So let's get one under our belts.
okay. we'll
And
do
then
that later.
move on from there. Yes.
Do you
Ms.
want me to go
Pierce.
ahead and add a date to my motion?
Sure, add a date.
So, by the way, and I'm saying.
no, you're-
before
you're
you
good.
make your motion, final.
I amended motion.
Your agendas have been pretty light.
That's what I was
and-
gonna, that's what I was gonna say at our next board meeting
Yeah.
in October.
Okay.
Would that be sufficient time between now and? If we can go ahead and go into a workshop after our board meeting?
And sometimes we don't have a
October.
board meeting. Maybe we could have that as a workshop.
I don't know that date.
I'm just saying,
First Thursday.
in general.
Yeah.
First Thursday.
So in lieu of anything being on our agenda as far as a,
Also,
yeah,
as an also.
okay.
October
October
2nd.
2nd.
Okay, so
All right, so we have the first to have a special workshop at the October 2nd meeting
at
Are-
the end of our October.
at the end of, or in lieu of other business.
Exactly.
And then just ask one question, wouldn't it be easier if we did the workshop before at 4 and then go into a meeting if need be?
I'm thinking the discussion's gonna take a little bit longer.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but if you need to make a motion on something, you could have it that same day, am I wrong? I'm asking just because.
I would not,
Well,
yeah, I
right-
would rather not
Yeah,
confuse
right
applicants.
now, we don't have actually an item for the October. I think
Okay.
we have-
Yeah. So be
one
that,
possible.
yeah, be that as it may.
But
Yeah.
probably,
And
no,
I think the people need to come first.
I would,
Yeah.
say, yeah, I would say go
Instead of
ahead,
take care of that.
go
then
ahead
go
and
into
take care of our
workshop.
applicants first. And then after our applicants
into
are
workshop.
satisfied, then we'll move to our
Okay.
workshop. because we'll
So-
already be here and it's already set.
Right. So the motion has sort of been amended, but really more clarified. Are you okay with seconding that? Okay, in that case, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. And opposed? Okay,
Awesome.
fantastic.
Good.
That moves us on to board member
Just
comments.
one more thing, I'm sorry.
Oh,
uh,
Mr. Agima.
Yeah, we're going to try to get, as much information as possible for the workshop, so we can have it for discussion here. I just want to point out one thing, we do not have expertise in the planning department when it comes to historic preservation. So you need to know that we are a little bit limited, what we can offer to you. But we will try to get all the information so you can make a good decision. The other thing I want to point out is that right now we're in the process of completing the update to the comprehensive plan. As you know, we do have an historic preservation element in the comprehensive plan. This is the document for the goals, objectives, and policies of the element. And this is what creates the basis for the regulations that we have in the code. So after we finish this, the city's gonna have to do the implementation of these goals and policies in the land development regulations. So I estimate that in the next 4 months, we'll be working on the land development regulation. That would be a very good opportunity to insert any changes that are needed in our code.
And
So
I,
what you're saying is the timing is right for this to
I
happen.
think it is.
Okay.
and I suggested the workshop too, so that we could be more expertise and more.
Well, let's not go
Absolutely.
expertise. Let's go
Well,
cognition. Yeah.
that everybody.
Yeah.
That's what why I
Nobody
wanted
wants to
do
accuse
that.
anybody of expertise. Yeah.
So I would like to email to each one of you, this document, which is,
Yes,
at
please
the
do.
moment is a draft,
Please.
but, so you can give me your comments, take a look. We are in a very short time, this is probably going to adapt it by the board by December is when we want to get completed.
Okay.
Excellent.
The process, the update to the comp plan.
Okay. So was this in fact the proposed workshop meeting?
Yes.
That
yes.
is
I had asked to
under
put it
board
on,
member comments?
I had asked to put it on there and we could discuss it.
Well, that is exceptional of you.
Thank you. So it was bothering me.
Ms. Pierce.
So we should be expecting 2 emails from you guys, correct? The one that you posted up earlier, the St. Augustine guideline, and then also the draft, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
that was
perfect.
it.
Perfect.
All right, moving on. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Rosa.
In order to prepare us for the workshop, I haven't had all the Benjamin Moore historic paint colors. Be responsible for bringing those. The scribblings is another set.
Yeah, I have these, but I noticed that her color, even though I saw it there, was not in this palette. So there'll be more.
Williams has one set, Benjamin Moore has another set.
Mm.
I don't think we want to get into, esoteric English paint colors.
No, I didn't know what we had, so I
Well-
brought something.
Those are the 2 big ones. And I don't obviously believe that we could tell a homeowner that they have to use a Benjamin Moore or. B.
Right,
No,
exactly.
Exactly.
They go by their paint, they say it's Benjamin Moore number, B, Z, Q.
HQ,
They can
H,
mention.
HC,
Yeah.
HQ,
they
listen to
can
me.
mention.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yes.
It's gonna-
And what I would say is, perhaps get with Ms. Hayes, Ms. Rosa, because rather than go to the paint store and wipe them out of rather expensive pamphlets, that certainly could be something that can be copied and emailed to us. Is that correct?
I believe that you-
Okay.
I have a set of my
I have one for her now if you'd like this.
But I'm sure that I can get in touch with Benjamin Corporate and have them send us whatever we want.
All right, fair enough. Ms. Beville.
I just have one statement, but so if you get the pamphlet from Ben Moore or Sherwin Williams, sorry, I'm a Ben Moore girl. They give you the historic colors, but there's actually like a stack in the color wheel.
Yes.
Of historical colors, so it's
Yeah.
more expansive than.
It
Yeah,
does
just
change
grab
every
it.
year.
No,
You have
that
something.
wasn't my thing. I just want to make sure everybody knew there's
Yes.
a ton.
I mean, and this is just my opinion. I think the best place to start is going with a sister city like St. Augustine and maybe reaching out to a city of similar age. Perhaps DeLand, I'm just kind of spitballing here and comparing sort of apples to apples as opposed to comparing a huge fan of colors from either Benjamin Moore or Sherwin-Williams, or for that matter, Behr, which also has a historical color chart. I mean, there's a gajillion of them, and don't even get me into all the specialty paints. Let's see what other towns around us that are similar ages are doing and see if we can't make our lives simpler, and certainly the lives for our homeowners and applicants easier, by giving them some indication of what we feel is appropriate in our town.
Mhm.
And which charts to use. That way they can get them themselves. you know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying?
All right, do we have staff comments? No? In that case, we are looking for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
Thank you, Ms. Foat. We are adjourned.